Thank you for tuning in to Cop with Critic. I'm Brian Koppen. We're with critic Christian Kriticos. Christian Kriticos, how the hell are you?
I'm good. That was a bit more alliteration than you're used to, I guess, with my name as well, coming on top of that. The
That's
critic,
funny.
Kriticos, Christian. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
that's
lot.
funny. The Coffin with Critic is tough enough, but now it's Christian Kriticos, and it's christiankriticos.com. And do you have information about your upcoming book on there?
Yeah. Thanks for mentioning it. Yeah, I've got a book coming out in October 2026. It's called Musique Concrète. It's part of Bloomsbury's 33 and a third series on music genres. So
Oh, so what's the
yeah.
what's the artist? Oh, it's a genre.
So
It's
it's
a genre
so it's
book.
yeah, it's kind of a spin-off from the main 33 and a third series. This one's about music genres.
Oh,
So the main series, for people who don't know, each book is about a different album, and now there's a new series where each book is about a music genre, and they're
okay.
quite generally quite obscure genres. So the one I chose is music concrète, which is
That's the
probably
genre.
probably most people would know it best if you're a Beatles fan for the song Revolution 9
Uh,
from the White Album.
yeah,
That's kind of
without giving
the
your book
Beatles
away,
take on that.
yeah, if we want to read the if we want to know all about it, we'll read the book. But in one sentence, what is musique concrète?
It is a very abstract kind of music that involves taking recorded sounds of anything. So it could be a pot and a pan or a car going past, and manipulating that sound to create something new that doesn't exist in the organic world. Maybe I need a
Okay,
better elevator pitch than that, but
I think that's good. I
that's
mean,
it
it
in a
made me think
nutshell.
of Blood Orange's "You're Not the One" because I thought there was ping pong balls at some point of it.
Right, yeah, using like everyday objects and things, but especially manipulating those sounds. So it was really about using the recording studio for the first time to kind of create new sounds, taking advantage of tape, being able to speed up, slow down, play backwards, all those kind of things to find the sound within the sound.
And I think the better example for me would probably be memory tapes had was it Green Knight or something where I
Right.
thought a bouncing ball actually served as percussion. So Blood Orange was just them playing table tennis at the end. But I
Oh,
think
right. Yeah.
actually using the sneakers as a sneaker on a gym floor as kind of a percussive element was pretty cool. So all right, so and I just had Steven Dusner on, and I think he did the 33 and a third for Chris Gaines, Garth Brooks. Remember
Oh,
that?
really? Oh,
When
yeah.
Garth
I'll have to check
Brooks,
that one out. I've read
yeah.
quite a few of the 33 and thirds, but they're literally like 200 at this point, so it's hard to keep up with all of them.
Oh, cool. Like I was just so happy it was Chris Gaines because that's the time when Garth Brooks, the country guy, wanted to put out a pop album. So
Yeah.
he put on this stupid wig and had this soul patch, and it was just, he was kind of a laughing stock. So, all right. So there's that. We're doing the Hall of Fame face off. We each pick five Rock Hall of Fame artists and a song from each. And I'm going to go first. That way, Christian Kriticos can pick a weaker or a stronger song based on how good he thinks mine is. And I'm going to serve a sacrificial lamb in the form of Shannon's Runaway. Have you heard the song, and what are you going to face off against it?
I have heard the song. It's a tough one to beat, I think. I think this is a great track from kind of that early 60s rock and roll period. Um, the one I've picked, before I mention it, I'll just explain that I am quite structured and everything. So I decided to give myself a restriction for my songs because it's the 40th anniversary since the first Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction this year. So
Oh yeah,
1986.
yeah.
So I decided to pick only songs from 1986, just to kind
Wow.
of explain my five. So the one I chose was
How were you able to kind of know that just by looking at it? Did you have to kind of look them up and look at their discography on Wikipedia, or no?
Yeah, I kind of looked at different artists that I like and saw kind of they had albums out in that year, and yeah, just exploring in that way, and it was quite fun to have that restriction as well.
Oh,
I
good.
think. But anyway, one of a very classic album came out in 1986, which is Paul Simon's Graceland. So I chose a track from that album. I chose the final track, which is called All Around the World or the Myth of Fingerprints.
This I hadn't heard it at all, which kind of speaks of my limited Paul Simon exposure. But this was one of the best songs I've ever heard from him, which is not saying much because but
Oh, really? Oh, I'm
I've
glad you
heard
liked it.
Graceland, and I like this better.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of the kind of because Graceland, the title track's very well known. You Can Call Me Al was kind of, I think, the hit from that album.
For sure.
This one's kind of buried at the end. That's maybe a little bit overlooked, but yeah, I agree. I think it's a great track, and partly what's interesting about your podcast, I think, is focusing on the songs in the from the artists in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because
Yes.
is this rock and roll? I guess is the question. This song, particularly this Paul Simon song, it's like an accordion is the dominant instrument, and you wouldn't necessarily think of that as a very rock and roll type instrument, would you?
Yeah, is it Zydeco kind of style? I guess Los Lobos might be on it.
Yes, yeah, this is the track with Los Lobos on it, yeah. And I
Is
guess
it Zydeco? Like, what's the
um
micro genre if you had to write the new 33 and a third on this song?
yeah, I don't know. I know that that was an inspiration for some of the tracks. I don't know what genre I would call this, to be honest. But the reason why I chose this one to pair with um, Runaway was your choice with Del Shannon is because there's some weird instrumentation in that song as well. I
Yeah,
guess it's
gosh,
like
it's weird. Like, first of all, the Wah
clavioline.
Wah
I
Wah
don't.
Wah Wonder crap, like, was that before Frankie Valli and all that? Was this song
I
influential on the Wah 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 Why falsetto stuff? And it seems a little silly in retrospect, but then comes the interesting instrument afterwards. You're like, okay, this is kind of an interesting song.
I like the wah wah wah. I think this whole song is just very unusual and um, yeah, it's funny to me that it became a number one. I don't really know Del Shannon's discography other than this song, but it's quite an unusual song to be like a big hit. The verse it's verse pre-chorus chorus structure, and the
Yeah.
pre-chorus is quite prominent, whereas a lot of songs, it's just verse chorus. The wah 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 you mentioned with the falsetto, the weird instrumental break with kind of clavioline, I think it is. It's basically like an
Yeah.
early form of synthesizer. And it's a piano and horns song predominantly. So again, like, is it rock and roll? I guess is the question that comes springs to mind for me because we're talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and a lot of these songs, to me, maybe are not rock and roll.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. I mean, once they put hip hop in there, you're like, I think this is just a pop music Hall of Fame.
that's yeah, I feel the same way. Like maybe it's just a naming thing. Maybe I'm being pedantic, but like it should be the Popular Music Hall of Fame. Shouldn't maybe
Yeah.
that doesn't roll off the tongue quite so well.
Yeah, maybe they didn't
Um,
presume when they named it, and rock was even bigger back in the day, but I'm glad they expanded. And yeah, Del Shannon's Runaway is poppy as hell, and I really care about pop. So, but yeah, as
yeah,
far as like which artist is better, I just love the fact that when you're doing songs, the best song of, a lesser artist can always beat the worst song of a great artist. And so the
right.
other day we had Bowie get beat. We had, I think we had
Oh,
Queen get
interesting.
beat.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
other
yeah.
times those people will totally blow everybody out of the water. But if you're putting like David Bowie's Sound and Visions against Sam Cooke's A Change Is Gonna Come, both of us probably agree that that might be a
Yes.
Sam
I mean,
Cooke
I
winning.
loved Sam Cooke though. I would choose Sam Cooke probably every day of the
Oh
week.
yeah,
Not that I don't like David Bowie, but I love Sam Cooke. So
but I imagine he has some dog shit songs, and if I were stupid enough to pick one, he would totally lose even against Del Shannon, I think. So what is the next
yes.
song you're putting forth?
Um, I will go for um 1986 again, of course. I'll go
Gosh,
for Fall on Me by R.E.M.
wow. Yeah, so there's a Life's Rich pageant thing, and I've been taught that you're either a Life's Rich pageant guy or Fables of the Reconstruction guy. Do you prefer that album, or is
Oh,
it just a
interesting.
1986 limitation?
I mean, I mean, Murmur is what I would go for from their early period, to be honest.
Oh,
That was their first album. Yeah, I think yeah, it was the 1986 restriction for this one, and for me, this is the most famous song from that album. But it's the standout song, I think. With Graceland, I was able to pick something maybe a bit more obscure, just because I think there's more in that album. But from Life's Rich Pageant, I think Fall on Me is the standout track.
yeah, and I guess it's real poppy. I think it's a little the singing's a little circular in a okay way. It's not my favorite, but it is poppy. And I guess my question after naming my own will be who the hell or what the hell is falling on Michael Stipe? That's what I'd like to know. But let me put it against Bobby Darin, Splish Splash. Were you able to listen to mine, and how does it stack up against REM's Fall on Me?
I mean, they're very different, aren't they? Um, yeah, I guess you touched on the lyrics there. What is Fall on Me really about? It's quite difficult to figure out. It's very like metaphorical, abstract lyrically, and I guess that's the contrast with the song you've picked, which is kind of uh,
It
very
couldn't be more
simple. I
different
guess I would,
lyrically. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, Michael Stipe is always going to be kind of gibberish, at least on the
yeah, and
verses or
he kind
stream
of
of
brought
thought.
them, yes, and he kind of brought the whole kind of mumbling style of singing into popularity in some
Oh,
ways. I think because you can't really make out what he's singing a lot of the time. I think, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. It kind of adds a little bit of mystery
Yeah,
to his performance. Bobby Darin is a very different kind of singer, right? He's, how would you say, maybe not a crooner, but more of like a
yeah,
traditional type singer with a very well trained voice.
yeah.
Michael Stipe, I doubt if he ever had a singing lesson in his life. Doesn't mean he's not a great singer, but it's a very different style, isn't it?
Yeah, and the words he picks, I mean, I guess they make sense, even though they are kind of a stream of thought, and I guess they're not exactly random. I guess that's the way I'd say it. We were covering country feedback, which turns out to be
Yes,
Michael
that's a great
Stipe's,
song.
yeah, Michael
Yeah,
Stipe's favorite
yeah.
song, and it was also mine and the critic's favorite song of R.E.M.,
Oh,
which
interesting.
made it difficult. But even in that song, he's saying what paperweight, junk garage,
Yes,
like
that's
yeah,
yeah.
the random words in that song are totally different than the random words in this song, and so they do kind of fit the music, I would think.
Yeah. So with this one, I don't want to give my own opinion because haven't necessarily analyzed the lyrics too much, but I was reading online that the sort of initially it was inspired by acid rain because I guess maybe in the 80s people were talking a lot about acid rain and that's what the Fall
Oh,
on Me is. But I think the song evolved from there and became something a little bit more abstract and a little bit more open to interpretation. But I
oh,
think that
cool.
was the initial impetus for that Fall on Me.
And it would have sucked if he would have kept it, literal
Yeah,
rather
if
than
it had been
metaphorical.
too on the nose. I
Oh,
mean,
that's
another
great.
thing that I think is interesting about this song that maybe is another contrast to the Bobby Darin is that it has this counter melody, Mike Mills sings. So it's kind
Oh
of
yeah,
almost like two songs in one. Like particularly in the second verse, you can't really hear it unless you turn the volume up. But
yeah.
Mike Mills is basically singing another verse underneath what Michael Stipe is singing.
No, I do like his
Um,
background vocal on that. I
yes,
think it's
he's kind
pretty.
of the
Yeah, I think it's pretty important for the REM sound, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, like especially in that period, like if you know it's the end of the world as we know it, and I
Oh
feel
yeah.
fine. That's a very again that has that kind of Michael Stipe singing in the Mike Mills kind of response. At time I had some time alone in that song, isn't it? Um, so he was kind of their secret weapon in some ways, I think.
Yeah, that's super important. I'm trying to think. There was one other band where I think Tragically Hip for me
Right.
had a background vocalist who was very important. And so the last thing I'll say about Bobby Darin is just Splish Splash is hilarious, just because
Why
there
did
was
you
a
choose that track? Out of curiosity, out of all his songs.
yeah. Well, I think I listened to a lot, but this is the one I keep going back to. Like, there's the Around the Sea, Around the Moon song that's beautiful, but this one is just
Yeah.
so fun, and to hear him like getting out of the bath and hopping back in the bath because there's a party going on, and then he dries off and puts on his party shoes, I think, or I hope. Hopefully he dried off because dancing is dangerous when in wet shoes. But no, I just love how fun it is compared to some of the other crooner stuff he does. And so let me do Depeche Mode's Personal Jesus. What did you think, and what are you going to face against it?
So this one of the ones you picked is the closest to my year that I'm is kind of my theme because I think this Depeche Mode song is 1989, I think. So you're
Oh,
kind of
okay.
close to my year.
Oh, cool.
Um, and for me, maybe this is sacrilege. Maybe you'll we can debate it, but I feel like for me the Johnny Cash version is the version I go to of this song. I
Oh,
guess it's just like it's ironic because I've chosen only songs from the 80s, but like the 80s production sound is maybe not my preference. I feel the same way about if you know the song "Mad World" by Tears for Fears.
I
There was quite a
must.
famous cover of that song that was in the film Donnie Darko, which is much more stripped back. It's just kind of piano and vocal. And it's the same with the Johnny Cash version of this song. He does just kind of a guitar and vocal. And I kind of prefer the more simple version, but maybe it's just my own prejudice of in both cases those were the ones I heard first.
Oh,
Um,
oh, did you heard the Johnny Cash version before the
I
Depeche one?
heard the covers first for both of those. Yeah, so the Johnny Cash version was my introduction to this song. Yeah.
Yeah, there was I recently had the same thing happen when somebody nominated a critic put forth Walk On by Isaac Hayes, which is totally different
Okay.
music. Yeah, totally different musically than the Dionne Warwick version by Burt Bacharach.
Yeah.
And there was a song called Two Wiki by Hooverphonic that sampled the Isaac Hayes version, and
Right.
that song was so good that it wrecked the Walk On By song for me because all I kept wanting to do is leave this
Yeah.
14-minute song and go back to the trip hop of Hooverphonic in 3 minutes. It was great. So I do know that, or even Take Care by Rihanna and Drake. It ruined me for the Gil Scott Heron version.
Right. Yeah. It's funny how that can happen with I wouldn't say it's ruined it in any way, but like I would say I listened to if you know He Got Game by Public Enemy, I probably listen to that more than it very prominently interpolates from For What It's Worth by Buffalo Springfield.
Oh,
And
I'm gonna have to listen.
I probably listened to the Public Enemy song more than the original Buffalo Springfield, even though the Public Enemy song is relying so much on that song. It's basically just taking the whole chorus and using it
I'm gonna have to check.
wholesale.
I'm gonna have to check it because I do like Public Enemy. I love their
Are they in
harmony.
the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I picked them for Harder Than You Think, which was great. Were you able to hear Chuck D rap on the Go Team's Flashlight Fight song?
No, I don't think I've heard that.
So the
Yeah,
Go
you have to
Team is
send it to me
just like
afterwards.
those cheerleaders. It's like
Yeah,
they use like blaxploitation music and they use cheerleading chants and things like that. And Chuck D had hopped on one of them, and he was just so good. So yeah, they're
he
just
is like,
flexible
yeah,
and wonderful.
he has the most powerful voice in hip hop, doesn't he?
Ooh.
We've digressed from Depeche Mode though.
Oh
I've
yeah.
taken you on
So
a tangent.
what's the song you're gonna face off against?
So my one that I think I'll choose against this is a Queen song, "A Kind of Magic," which I think is. I know it's on a lot of their greatest hits albums, but I do feel like it's a slightly underrated Queen song because it is. The opening's a little bit cheesy, the kind of magic and the finger
Thank you.
clicking.
Thank you. I'm
But I
glad you said that.
but yeah, but I do think once you get into it, it's a great song, particularly Brian May's guitar sound. Like I just love Brian May and his solo kind of in the middle and his outro is just
Yeah.
amazing.
That's the
Yeah.
only thing I liked about it. I was gonna say I like the guitar at the end. Like the
Yes.
layered guitar, like he was just such a master at that. And I think he might have done the hard pan where I was so pissed off because I used to just wear one headphone all the time. And so when
Right.
I bought Queen, I was like, fuck, I can only hear, one layer of his guitar and no vocal, so I would have to switch ears and people just don't understand how, if you're a music lover like me, you might do a lot of things with one earphone in. And so
Yeah.
hard pan really screws us. But yeah, I think it is a little cheesy. His voice is good, but his I do love Brian May's guitar playing. What else was on that album from this year? From that year?
So the album is called A Kind of Magic, and I mean, many of their albums are weird, but this one, a lot of the songs came from, they did the soundtrack for a film called Highlander. I don't know if you've seen that film.
Oh no, I've heard of
Um,
Highlander though. I've heard of him.
it
He
is
walks
one
the
of,
earth in his trench coat or something.
yeah, it's one of the worst films I've ever seen. I'll just put that out there. I would say the only good thing in the film is the Queen songs. So I think it's a kind of magic. I think it was an earlier version that's in the actual movie, and they re-recorded it for this album. But you might have to fact check me on that. But the other one is "Who Wants to Live Forever." Um,
Oh yeah, I know that one.
is from they made for that film as well because they have kind of a history of making songs for not very good science fiction-y films because they did the Flash Gordon soundtrack as well.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
love that song. That actually kind of
yeah,
made some of their greatest hits. I was like, what the fuck is this? This is amazing. But I think
I
I think
mean,
it
I
helps
think
people write. Like I think when you're that recently, I think Goo Goo Dolls are as popular as they've ever been because of the song was it Slide or Iris? I don't want the world to hear
yes,
me that one. But he said he was having writer's block until they sent Johnny Resnick footage from the portion of the movie he was supposed to put the song to. I don't know if it was You Got Mail or whatever. And he said
right.
immediately I was able to write it very quickly. And so I think it can push people, creative people like Queen, to do more and more bizarro shit, which we just love.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think Queen get a lot of stick sometimes nowadays from critics, but if you actually like stop and listen to some of their songs, they're really weird songs. They were doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and I think you're right. Like taking a chance on doing music for a film that maybe is not necessarily a great film can open up, different creative ideas and stuff. Like a lot of the lyrics from this song, "A Kind of Magic," are basically like referring to Highlander, the race that lasts 1,000 years. There can be only one, because
Oh
Highlander's
yeah, there could be only one. Yeah. That was
yeah,
from
because it's basically.
Zack and Mary Make a Porno. He kept saying, there can only
Oh
be
really?
one.
Oh, so that must be a Highlander reference. I've not seen that. But yeah, Highlander's basically about like a race of immortal beings, and they're all slowly killing each other off until there's only one left. Which sounds kind of cool, but it's not a good film.
So I think as long as they're getting paid, the weirder the better, because they wouldn't have sung about magic and a magical being unless there was something like that or the Flash thing. I just love that. Yeah, because it's not. And you're right. Like if it's a shitty movie, I really think it kind of lowers the expectations. I mean, it sucks it's not going to be a commercial hit for them, but the fact
But it
that it's
also means
weird
like
and a good addition to their catalog is a good thing.
I think like the Queen album, Flash, is better known than the movie, right? And the same here, like the song A Kind of Magic is probably better known than the film Highlander. So in a
Oh,
way,
sure.
like if the film does badly, it's kind of good in a way because the
Yeah,
song becomes bigger than the film.
it's a win-win. So yeah, what's the next one on your list that you're going to pick? And I'll tell you which one I'm facing off against.
I will go for, and probably this is probably the biggest hit of any of the songs I chose. I'll go with Prince, Kiss, which is one of his, obviously, one of his great songs.
And yeah, I'm going to face off against it. Martha Reeves and the Vandellas Nowhere to Run, which is great, but I really think that Kiss will beat my next song. So I'm going to name the Martha Reeves one now.
I mean, I think that's a great song as well. I
Yeah.
think I agree. Kiss is kind of, it's just, it'll be difficult for anything to beat that song, I think. It's just one of Prince's uh, great songs. And I don't even have like a good critic rational explanation for it because it's such a strange minimalist production. I
Yeah.
don't think there's even any bass on it or anything.
Yeah, he did more with less. And I think that's typical with like your best song and your favorite song. Like it's tough to just explain why it's so good. And that's why critics are just, better at speaking, describing things like I had the OJ's Backstabbers, and I was like, I don't know why it's good. It's just fucking great. But like Nowhere to Run, I just realized now that I've Runaway and Nowhere to Run, and they're both just great pop songs, but I couldn't listen to either one of them as much as maybe my next song. So yeah,
Yeah,
so tell me about your relationship with Prince, just kind of
I
what,
don't
yeah,
know. It's a
when
difficult
you, yeah,
one.
was first of all, was it for the Pretty Woman soundtrack? Because it kind of made that moment, and also kind of uh, at what point did you get on or get off with Prince's career? Like, did you follow every one of his evolutions?
Certainly not. He's released so many albums. I know there are people who go really, really deep on Prince, and I haven't done that yet. Maybe someday I would like to. And I know there's also like a ton of unreleased material as well. So there's potentially a lot more to explore in the future. Um, I mean, for me, it started with Purple Rain, which is probably the album that it started with for most people. But I think that is a great album. Every song is good.
Yeah,
This one is from I think the follow-up album because this is another Prince and the Revolution song, Kiss. Um, but yeah, it's like I said, it's very minimalist. I think it's him and only maybe a couple of other people on it, and really the star of the song is his vocals. I think the the from the growling to the falsetto, he kind of covers the full range of the Prince voice.
yeah. Do you think a Little Richard when you think about Prince, or not really?
Yeah, definitely, I can see similarities in that falsetto that I mentioned, and also the look as well. Like if you've watched the video for Kiss, he's being quite subversive around like I guess masculinity and femininity. Um, for example, the kind of low yeah that he sings in the song, each time that comes on, it cuts to a woman mouthing that, whereas all the high bits, it's on him.
Yeah.
So he's kind of playing, I guess, with who's singing the high part and who's singing the low part,
Oh, that's
and
good.
obviously,
And he
and
should.
obviously his dress sense, as we know, was kind of um, blurring those lines between like masculinity and femininity with his high heels and everything.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think my
so yeah,
conclusion
I
is
see
that
that with
you could be a badass without being macho. Like we are facing off.
yes.
We were facing off Bruce Springsteen, 10th Avenue Freeze Out, because that's the only song of his I like. And the other guy was like, I don't know, macho anthem shit. I'm not really into it. But we put it against just a really cool motherfucker. I think it was Gil Scott Heron. And I'm just like, being a badass is masculine. And that's why Prince is like the manliest man there is. And how would you put his catalog or his influence against Michael Jackson's? And I realize I'm putting on the spot there.
I mean, I would be Prince 100%. I'm not. I was never a massive Michael Jackson fan anyway, but of course, not to get into a tangent. But
Oh,
I
sure.
think the more recent controversies and
Oh, yeah.
things have tainted it further for me. Like the Leaving Neverland stuff. Um, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future because obviously there's this branding exercise they're doing this year with the film that's coming out. I think very very shortly, maybe even by the time this podcast comes out, the movie will be out. Um,
MJ movie?
yeah, yeah, it's a biopic about Michael Jackson. His nephew is playing the role, and I mean,
Oh,
from the
cool.
trailer and everything, he looks to be giving a great performance. But I mean, I'm quite cynical. I do see a lot of these movies as just being branding exercises because
Yeah,
basically later in the year is when the trial it finally comes to trial. The two guys from Leaving Neverland, they're basically trying to sue the Jackson estate
oh
because they're
sure.
claiming that the estate was kind of complicit in the alleged abuse that they say took place.
Oh,
So
sure.
yeah,
So that
that was a
lawsuit is going
tangent.
to,
But
yeah, that lawsuit. Hopefully, they're gonna like we're gonna need to settle this thing before the biopic comes out, or else our brand exercise is going to be not as lucrative as it should be. Yeah, I'm fine just totally canceling Michael Jackson. Like, you know, these allegations are awful, and his music was good, but some of it was not. I do, it was just funny that Prince and Michael Jackson, I think they're a little competitive together. And I just read a New York Times article that came
yeah,
out
they are.
today about Dylan and Lennon being a little bit competitive. I'm just like, you two are ridiculous.
Right. I mean, they are paired together quite often, aren't they, Prince and Michael Jackson? But I don't know, he's certainly the better musician, that's for sure. I don't think anyone could deny that. I think maybe Michael Jackson, you could say, had more of the showmanship stuff down. Like he put on a show
Yeah,
with his dancing and everything. Not that
dancing. Yeah,
Prince didn't do that, but I think Prince, like, it's difficult to think of anyone really who's a better musician, instrumentalist. He was a multi-instrumentalist, could play anything very well. I think Pace did a 100 greatest guitarists of all time recently, and I'm pretty sure they put Prince at number one,
oh my lord. Yeah,
which is maybe surprising, but he is, um, he was a great musician.
I like his handling of the guitar. It's very showy. Like if you look at the NFL halftime show, his guitar kind
Yes,
of movement is great, and of course he writes real well, and he can do sexy all the way to one of the songs I get to a lot, which is Starfish and Coffee, Maple Syrup and Jam,
yes,
and that video
yeah.
is a bunch of Muppets, and so he can do something as innocent as that and make it wonderful. Okay, the last song I have Michael J. Blige, no, Mary J. Blige, No More Drama, putting a face off against it.
Well, this is going to be an exercise in contrasts again, I think, because my last song is Bob Dylan, Brownsville Girl, which is from probably his worst album. It's an album called Knocked Out Loaded from 1986. Um, but this song is kind of every album he makes, even though it's bad, there's one kind of standout, and this is kind of the standout of that album, and it's heralded by some people as one of his great songs. Certainly one of his great songs of the '80s, which was a bit of a lost decade in some respects.
Yeah, you'll have to tell me why
Um,
you like it because I was at minute 7. I was like, I wrap it up, and I looked at there was 4 more minutes,
oh yeah,
and
it's a long
like
one.
two additional Gregory Peck mentions. I think he mentions Gregory Peck 2 or 3 times. Then I
Yes.
re-listened to it because my expectations were low, and I found myself being like, if I approach this with a sense of humor and just being like, he's kind of getting a kick out of just singing this long rambling shtick, I'll give it to him. But I mean, it's not. I really don't think it can beat Mary J. Blige. No More Drama in terms of poppiness, but then again, Brownsville Girl's not trying to be poppy at 11 minutes, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is where you have to decide on how you're putting them head to head against each other. Certainly, the production on this song is very unusual. Like the '80s was so powerful, no one could escape it, not even Bob Dylan. So we've got this very weird production with the saxophone solo in the middle and this weird call and response female backing vocal type thing. But the song, yeah, it's about the lyrics, really. I think for me, and it's one of those very strange, long, rambling, abstract Bob Dylan story songs. So it's kind of a weird melange of his memories of a Gregory Peck movie that he remembers seeing, as you mentioned, and it's kind of a story of like basically a woman that he's lost. But I just think there's loads of great lines. It's probably the
Yeah,
song that I've quoted the most in my life, I would say.
there you go.
Um, yeah, just lines like you always said people don't do what they believe in; they just do what's most convenient, and then they repent.
Oh,
Um, I just think like lines like that are quite quotable and apply. You can apply them to a lot of situations, and they're just true. Another one, strange how people who suffer together have stronger connections than
yeah,
people who are most content.
yeah.
You can see that he wasn't try making much of an effort to have all the lines scanned perfectly or anything, but
But some of them
um,
did,
yeah. And
and
I
I
should
think
also
that's
mention,
a value in kind of deep diving. Somebody like Bob Dylan. Like the thing I'll point out is I contrast like one of the songs I nominate for Bob Dylan is "Murder Most Foul" because unlike
yes,
Brownsville Girl, it actually does not come off as repetitive, even though it's somehow longer.
that was like, yeah. I mean, that he's still making such strange and great. music, although could you even call that one music? 'Cause it's kind of a spoken word track, isn't it?
Yeah.
At his age, like, yeah, that one, I remember when that came out, it was kind of right at the start of the pandemic and it just came out of nowhere and kind of amazed me. That's a great one. Um, but yeah, the final thing I wanted to mention about Brownsville Girl is that it's a co-write. So he has collaborated sometimes, Bob Dylan, with other writers, other lyricists. So this is a collaboration with Sam Shepard, which I think is
Oh,
another reason why maybe it's held in esteem because
Sam Shepard, the actor.
it is the actor. Yeah, so he
Oh, it's the
was
actor.
an actor and a playwright. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe he's obsessed with Gregory Peck. I'll blame him. But real quick, two
We don't know
seconds.
exactly. We don't know where the Gregory Peck came from.
I don't know who to blame for that. And then what do you think about Mary J.
Yes,
Blige's No More Drama with the very little time we have left?
I liked it. Yeah, I don't actually. I'm not that familiar with her discography, but I liked the kind of um, R&B, hip hop, soul blend, and I especially like the build, like the, the way it starts. Very kind of like a piano ballad type thing, and the build with that chorus behind, I thought was very powerful.
Yeah, you kind of
Um,
need to because
so yeah, I did like it.
her vocal just compounds in emotion. And I think even if you watch a live version on maybe Jules Holland or something from back in the day, it looks weird, but I mean, she just gets into it. And I think this might be the only real song I know about Mary J. Blige, and maybe it's just exposure bias, but I've listened to this so much, so many times. Okay, we follow him everywhere, ChristianKriticos.com. I think there you can find his Instagram and LinkedIn, and hopefully you'll find links to his upcoming book in October. It's called Musique Concrète. Is that correct?
Perfect. Yeah, yeah,
My
yeah. You're a French
pronunciation is.
speaker, I guess, are you?
I took 2 years of French, and I guess the only thing I learned was to repeat after Christian Kriticos has taught me how to say it. So, Christian, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Brian.